Bitcoin is an asset with a scarce supply. The more people are concerned about inflation and currency debasement and the fiscal and monetary policies of governments, the more differentiated that feature of Bitcoin becomes. There are Democrats and Republicans who've realized that this is something that matters to their constituents and could be a real blessing to the country. Bitcoin has changed, and it's changed in such a way for a lot of people to appreciate its brilliance and merits. I think this year you'll see at least 3 major banks start to offer services. And then on the wealth management side of banks, they're also going to start to allow their clients to invest in digital assets. And we're already seeing that. We serve a few banks who are doing it. I think people are going to be blown away. I think that you're going to see
on the correct KPIs, right? What do people focus on if they want to stay optimistic and happy in this industry? You said it's the best year ever, 2025. Victor Hugo wrote, "There's one thing stronger than all the armies in the world, and that is an idea whose time has come." You borrowed Victor Hugo's quote and adapted it to our favorite topic, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an idea whose time has come. Why?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I actually don't even remember that who the original source of that quote was. Sometimes it almost feels like the world is reorganizing itself to create the best environment for Bitcoin. So what are some of the elements of Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a digital asset. So it's better when the world is online. Bitcoin is a digital asset. So as younger generations who have more and more experience with digital assets, age and come into wealth, they're more interested in that digital asset. Bitcoin is a non-sovereign store of value. So the less that people trust governments or a government trusts another government, the more useful it is. Bitcoin is an asset with a scarce supply. So the more people are concerned about inflation and currency debasement and the fiscal and monetary policies of governments, the more differentiated that feature of Bitcoin becomes. Bitcoin is not an inherently political topic, at least in the United States. And I think we've seen this year that there are Democrats and Republicans who've realized that this is something that matters to their constituents and could be a real blessing to the country. And so for that non-political nature to start being perceived by politicians in Washington is an amazing boon. So all of those things are moving in the right direction. And they're all sort of have been dialing and dialing and dialing. And this year you have this tapestry of all of those forces that makes me feel like Bitcoin's time has come. All of the circumstances that allow Bitcoin to be seen in its best light and its most useful nature are sort of conspiring around it. And it's not that Bitcoin has changed. It's that the world around Bitcoin has changed, and it's changed in such a way for a lot of people to appreciate its brilliance and merits. So that's what makes me think of it. And there's actually like another 5 more in the weeds set of things. I'll give you one more that's kind of in the weeds. In the US, banks have really struggled for the last 10 years. Through regulation and fines and a whole host of constraints, they have not been able to innovate. And so they're slowly getting picked apart. You have fintech companies that are taking some of their services. Think of SoFi or Robinhood. You have payments companies that are taking another set of their services. Think of Adyen and Stripe and PayPal. And then you have private credit firms. Think of Apollo or Ares that are taking a whole nother host of their services around credit markets. And so over the last 10 years, the banks have just been piece after piece is getting pulled away from them. But banks, like every other organization, wants to serve its customers and wants to grow. So not to be too long-winded on Bitcoin is a great idea whose time has come, but as another example of that, the banks and financial institutions are hungry to have new products and services that are digital in nature, that can be an innovation area for their firms. And I think that you're going to see in 2025, suddenly banks will be a huge catalyst and proponent of Bitcoin and digital assets. How? I think people are going to be blown away. I think that you're going to see. The premise is companies exist to serve customers. And when customers want something, they can only resist serving that for so long. And I think that the dam is broken. They can't resist it any longer. And in the new administration, the constraints that were preventing banks from serving customers around digital assets are falling away. So how are banks going to start serving the space? You're going to see lending against Bitcoin, where you can borrow against your Bitcoin, which is a huge feature. This is over $1 trillion. There's over $1 trillion of Bitcoin. People don't want to sell it, but they need cash to do things. So you're going to see banks stepping in to offer that. You're going to see banks facilitating derivatives and trading. You're going to see banks offering to hold your digital assets for you with the comfort of the regulatory apparatus and the history of a bank. You're going to see banks facilitating payments. You'll see banks embracing stablecoins and holding or accepting and transferring stablecoins for you. I think that there are so many of the services of this space that are very native to what people expect from a bank. And I think this year you'll see at least 3 major banks start to offer services. And then on the wealth management side of banks, they're also going to start to allow their clients to invest in digital assets. And we're already seeing that, and we serve a few banks who are doing it. So I think that the view of a few years ago is that banks were sort of at odds with this space, and we're unhappy to see its success. And I think a difference in 2025 is that I think banks are joining the team and are going to be a force that compels the space even further.